Welcome into the Nashville Game Changers podcast. I'm your host, Jill Jelnick. Excited for our two guests today. Yes, not one, but two guests on our podcast this week. And safe to say they know a thing or two when it comes to women's basketball. And it, of course, runs in the family when it comes to the Insell family. I'm talking about the head coach of MTSU women's basketball, Rick Insell, and his son, Matt Insell, the associate head coach. Guys, thanks for swinging by on your recruiting trip. I appreciate it.
We're happy to be here. I'll tell you, this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
This, in the community and talking basketball and trying to accomplish as much as we can, not only for our basketball team, but for our community, for the university. So this is what we're all about.
You say this is what you guys do, but when's the last time the two of you have been on a couch together talking basketball?
We talk a lot in cars.
Yeah. and on the court, right?
and in planes.
Yeah.
And when we're on the court, we're busy looking at two different. We got two different sets of eyes. Really, we got more than that, counting all of our assistants. But we're very open. It's not like that. Matt stands on the sideline and doesn't do anything. He's coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Kim's coaching, Tom's coaching, Nina's coaching, I'm coaching, and we've all kind of got our players and things. So we're very much involved with what's going on there, too.
We obviously still have a little ways away until the women's basketball season. And we'll obviously talk about your new team, new roster, new look. But first, congratulations are in order because you were just recently, Rick, named to the Conference USA Hall of Fame class of 2025. A big congrats, and correct me if I'm wrong, your ninth Hall of Fame induction.
It is, and thank you very much, Jill. It's just you don't get into coaching thinking about going into the Hall of Fame.
No.
I can remember back when I was a junior high coach at Westside in Cannon County, working those young men and just every day, and then going into Shelbyville and just doing your job. You just don't, it never crosses your mind. And then you get into a Hall of Fame and you think, good, that's, I didn't expect that. And then now here we're down the road, we're in 9, and, it's just, it never ceases to amaze me, to be honest with you. But I didn't think about that. I never thought. And then, it was a big honor to all of them. It was a big honor to get into all of them. But, we just got to keep working, and that's kind of what we do. And, man, I'll tell you that we may mention it every now and then in recruiting. Hey, my dad's in Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame, and, you can come and play. Maybe not for Gino, but for Rick.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. There was a great video. MTSU's social media team captured the moment where you found out about the induction, and you were with the players, colleagues, obviously your family. I know you have 13 grandkids. There were a couple of them there. Maybe even Clark was there.
Clark and Evie.
Yes, Clark and Evie. They were in your hands. And I know that was a special moment for you, Rick, but Matt, what was that like, celebrating that moment with your dad, especially having coached with him the last several years?
First off, it was hard because I had to plan a team meeting.
You purposely planned a meeting just for this surprise?
For this surprise, and he doesn't like team meetings being called without his approval of the team meeting. So he didn't really know what was going on for the team meeting. He was not happy about why we're having a team meeting during the middle of high school team camp that's happening on our campus.
I'm sure he let you know that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
The whole walk down to the team meeting. I don't know why we're meeting. What do we have to meet about? I said, Chris needs to meet with the team. What's going on? And so we get in there, and he sees it. But it's awesome. I've been very fortunate over the last 19 years to coach at 4 different places now. And to be able to do it the last 7 seasons with my dad, that's something that's very special. That's something I'll look back on years from now and be like, it's been the best 7, 8, 9, 10 years, however long it's going to be, and with him of my career.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love it every single day. Get to go to lunch with my father every day. Get to spend time. We talk every night about our team. There's not a day goes by we're not talking about what we can do for this season or what we can do for this player or that player. And And so it's a special time right now in my life.
I also imagine when you have your dad or your son as your coaching partner, you're pretty candid too. So the honesty maybe is at another level. Are there times where you guys are just,
that goes to a different level?
That
sometimes.
goes, yeah.
We have a difference of opinions. And,
Right.
It's interesting. The players, he and I'll get to, I'll say my piece. He says his piece. And the players don't even worry about it anymore. They just kind of look like, it's dad and son, but we do have a difference of opinion, but we're on the same page. We may not agree to do this or that, but when it's time to put it in place, we're on the same page of what we're doing and live with whatever decision that becomes. So.
Well, you two have found a recipe for success at MTSU. 12 NCAA tournament appearances, 4 regular season titles, 9 tournament championships, handful of All-Americans, and also WNBA draft picks. Safe to say that what you guys are doing in the borough, it's working. And Rick, I'd love to ask you just over your time, as you're about to enter year 21 with the Blue Raiders, what is it about your teams that have found success year after year?
I think it's our system. We go out and we recruit to our system, and we know what we're looking for at the 2 position, the 3, the 1, the 4, and the 5. And, we've got some good coaches that have bought into that. And then Matt's over our recruiting, and they will, and not only here, domestic, but international recruiting. Matt's expanded that along with one of our coaches, Tom Hodges, and they have an idea of what's going on there on the international scene, and then on the domestic scene in states. Just like this week, we'll have all of our coaches will be out on the road. If they see somebody that they really think fits our system, then not only do we have a chance to look at them on film, but we have a chance to go out and watch them and just kind of look at a lot of different things that they do. Maybe not as much as scoring as it is rebounding, playing defense, their attitude on the bench, their attitude on the floor. Are they competitors? Does it mean anything to them? Those little things like that is what I'm looking for. And if they see that, they'll come to me and say, hey, we need to take a look at this.
You guys have done a nice job over the years mixing in those international recruits, and I think that's something that has helped you get an edge over other teams. Matt, what's your approach when you go about recruiting a player overseas?
Well, the game, has become more of a world game, and you start looking at the NBA drafts, the WNBA drafts, the amount of players that are playing in the professional ranks right now. It's just as many players internationally that are coming into America to play as there is being drafted from just America. And so, it's a market that we decided to get into several years ago. We have some good friends over there that actually are in that market that keeps us up to date of what's going on in Europe, different parts of the world. This coming year, we'll have a girl from Taiwan on our team.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
She is a very special player, but it's interesting because when she signed with us, there was more views, more retweets, more or whatever they call
more
it
hype.
now.
Yes.
More shares on Instagram than any other athlete that's ever been signed at Middle Tennessee.
Wow.
And and it's a lot because it hit her market over there. And so, it's a market we're going to stay in. We're very active in it. We'll have the tallest player in college basketball next year on our team from Spain.
Oh my gosh.
She's 6'10" and a half, 6'11", somewhere in that area. And
wow.
she's not just tall. Like, she can really play. She's playing in the U18 European Championships right now. I was up this morning at 4 o'clock in the morning watching her play.
Really? 4 a.m. this morning?
4 a.m. this
morning.
Oh, my
gosh.
I was watching online, watching her play, and she had a double-double in the U18 Championships against Greece in the quarterfinals this morning. And so, it's a part of what we have to do. And, in America right now, there's a shortage of post players. And whereas we can go to Europe and we can get 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", and that gives us an opportunity to compete against the Tennessees.
Yeah.
2 years ago when we was able to beat Tennessee, we have a 6'7" post player that had a very hard time guarding. And so, can we find that next player that fits our system, that gives those type of teams a trouble guarding, gives us a good chance of winning those games like a Louisville and play teams like that.
And in return, you have small pockets of Blue Raiders fans all across the world.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And, our biggest thing in recruiting is to try to find the best players in the state of Tennessee that fit what we do. And they may sometimes not be the most ranked, the highest ranked players in the country, but they know how to win. In Tennessee high school basketball, the players that we're able to sign out of high school in the state of Tennessee, they understand winning. They're coached. They understand the process of things. And so if we try to get the very best players in our state. And then once we see what we don't have on our roster or what we don't have in the state, and then we start expanding out to other states and across the country and across the world.
When we caught up with you, Rick, at the Blue Raider Blitz, we talked a little bit about your upcoming team. And I know you mentioned just now your two international players coming over, two new players on the roster. You said it's a brand new team. You guys lost all your starters from last year, whether it was graduation or the portal. And this is a completely new roster. Tell us a little bit about this new group of women.
Well, we've after we had practice yesterday morning at I think 7:00, and I was probably more excited after that practice. And we left about 8:15 or 8:30. We met with some of our supporters, played golf yesterday. But I was more excited leaving that practice than I've been in a long time. During practice, and I'm going to get into the details. I looked across the floor at Matt, and I said, "You were right." And of course, the other coaches were thinking, "What am I talking about?" He knew what I was talking about because one of the young ladies that he has said, "I think she can play this position also." And she really was very dominant in practice yesterday. And that's when I looked across and you were right. But that's what makes it special. We didn't back off of our recruiting. We didn't back off of our scheduling. Our schedule is as tough as anybody's in the country, to be honest with you. Because we had everybody new coming in, you see a lot of coaches that are very protective. They're more concerned about their next contract are keeping their job than they are about getting their team to a point where you can compete at the end of the year at either the conference tournament or the NCAA tournament. And that's part of our system is our schedule is so tough. We don't play any Division II teams. We don't play any NAIA teams. Now we do some of that in exhibitions, but they don't count as far as your record is concerned. Since we've been in Middle Tennessee, or I've been in Middle Tennessee 20 years, we've never played a NAIA team or Division II team. Every game that we played, won or lost, has been a Division I program. And as tough a schedule as we can make. And so this new group coming in, a lot of my close friends, one of them in particular, Jimmy Earl, which used to be the head coach at Middle Tennessee men's basketball, he's kind of been a mentor of mine through the years, and he called me after this past season. He said, "You need to lighten your schedule a little bit. You're losing all these players and this and that." And I kind of laughed because sometimes I should listen to him more. So I told Matt, and we just kind of laughed about it because we already had the schedule made, and it was even tougher than last year. And so, we know that we're going to lose some games. We know that. We know we're going to win some games. Maybe we should lose. But we also know that we're going to be mentally tougher, physically stronger when we get to the conference tournament and give us a chance to win games in the NCAA tournament because of our schedule.
Stay with us. Nashville Game Changers podcast will be right back after this. And don't forget, like and subscribe. Rick, you mentioned something at the Blue Raider Blitz. You said you thought about hanging it up before this season and retiring after last season, but you came back. Why?
Well, this guy on my left here makes it a lot easier for me to come back, and my other coaches that are with him. Kim Bruton's been with me 16 years. Matt's been with me his whole life. Tom Hodges is Matt's best friend, used to be the head coach at Morehead State, like Matt was the head coach at Ole Miss. We were able to bring him back on board. He's like one of my sons also. And then Nina Davis, which played in Memphis, gives us a contact there, but also had her jersey retired at Baylor, was working for Fox Sports out in Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. We were able to get her and bring her back, and she's been with us now, 6 years, 5 or 6 years. And so, that's why I came back, because those guys make it a lot easier on me. I'm 74 years old. I don't have to do everything. They know what's going on. They know how to take care of business. I've got a great secretary also back in the office, and it just makes it a lot simpler. And then I've got a very supportive wife at home, which, by the way, is a State Farm agent and runs her own business. So, my job now is kind of, I love coaching, but also I love getting out in the community. And it's a different world now. I think Matt will talk about that with the NIL and the portal and all that. We've got to raise money, and we've got to do things that we didn't have to do back 4 or 5 years ago. And now I'm able to kind of help bridge that with the community and with our support system. And that's why I came back. And of course, really and truly, I think I can't, and I'm honest when I say this, I don't really know how many wins I've got in at middle, maybe 489, 491.
Nearly 500.
And Matt said, Dad, you need to try to go on and get that 500th win. And then, you do what you want to do. And so I thought about it, and I said, it's kind of being a little greedy, I guess, or selfish would be more the word, because those guys are ready to take over and run with the program. And, there's no doubt that our program's not going to miss a beat with Matt, Kim, and that group behind them there. So again, I guess I was a little selfish.
I don't know if 20 years and 12 NCAA appearances is selfish, but
I've had another thing, and a lot of people lose sight of. A lot of young coaches and a lot of coaches in general. I've been very fortunate and blessed to have Sidney McPhee and Chris Massaro. Dr. McPhee being the president of the university, and Chris Massaro being the AD that I have worked for the last 20 years. And they believe in women's sports. Mm-hmm. And unlike a lot of administrations across the country, they kind of put the women's sports on the back burner and give them, the crumbs. That's not the case at Middle Tennessee. No. They very much believe in our program and our other women's programs that we've got there on campus, and they're going to make sure that we get what we need. And that made it a lot simpler for me also.
Middle Tennessee has always done a fantastic job with its women's programs. You brought up a great point about the landscape of college sports, how much it has evolved just in the last 2 years, let alone over the last decade. Matt, what was the process like this past off season when you had to go about re-recruiting your own players and basically kind of starting over the roster from scratch? A little different than what you've been used to over your career.
Well, and it's first off, I think it's long overdue. I think obviously players deserve to be compensated for what they do and the different things that they're doing. I don't think it was when it was rolled out there. I don't think the NCAA did a great job of setting any kind of boundaries or anything like that. They just kind of threw it on everybody, and then it explodes into what it is, and you can't really take it back. But it is different. It's different when you're recruiting. It's different. Last year, about this time, as we were going out in the summer of trying to get our roster, knowing that we had 6, 7 seniors, do you go ahead and take a bunch of high school players, or do you wait for a transfer portal? We still believe that high school players can do something real special, and we still believe that, especially with this young group right now, we're already seeing that is we're not having to change bad habits.
Very coachable.
Yeah, they're very coachable. Everything that we say, they think is what it is. Mm-hmm. Where you get a transfer a lot of times, and we have one transfer with us that's really special. She's going to be a special player that's fell right in doing everything we want to do. But we haven't had to break any bad habits with that. Re-recruiting a roster is something different. I'm real close friends. One of my closest friends is Hugh Freeze, the head coach at Auburn. Mm-hmm. And he and I were just having this conversation on the phone 3 nights ago. Is basically re-recruiting your roster is more important, really, at times than recruiting new players to come into your roster. And I feel this will be my 19th season coaching college basketball. Being a recruiter at Kentucky, being the head coach at Ole Miss, it feels a little bit dirty when you're talking to players about money. Because for years, if you brought that subject up, then you were committing a major violation.
That's right.
And so now a lot of your conversation, you're talking about money, you're talking about what you're going to get paid and all of that. I get off the phone every time. I tell my wife, I said, it feels like I just committed a violation when I really didn't.
Feels icky, right?
It does. Yeah. It does. And so it's different. But it's the way of the world now. Mm-hmm. We have fans that have called me, and I was on the phone with one of our supporters yesterday, and he's just going off about, this is going to ruin college athletics. And finally, I just had to stop him. I was like, this is what it is. Like, there's no need of fighting it. There's no need of arguing. There's no need of trying to change something that's not going to be changed. Mm-hmm. This is what it is. Continue to support the program. Let us figure out how we need to do it, and we'll figure it out. And as long as you just need to keep buying your season tickets. And he agreed. He agreed to that. But it is what it is. And we can fight it. We can say we don't like it. Mm-hmm. We can say it's going to ruin college sports. But it is what it is now. And it's the way of the world. It's what we have to it's the profession we chose. Mm-hmm. And we have to adapt to that and adjust. And I feel like our staff has done a great job with that. And it's something we talk about every single day, and just trying to figure out a roster. You're kind of you're kind of a general manager more now, and trying to figure out what players dictate winning the most, and mm-hmm. different things like that. And mm-hmm. And at the same time keeping your locker room close, because there is in every locker room in the country right now. Not just us, from Tennessee football to wherever you want to go. There's one player making more than another player. Mm-hmm. And there's always one player that may be producing a lot that's not getting as much as somebody else. How can you keep that locker room close is something that we work a lot on and talk to them a lot about. And so it's interesting, but we enjoy it.
Yeah, a different kind of challenge when it comes to team chemistry with this new college sports era. The conferences also, so much change there, right? We're talking about not just NIL, but with the transfer portal, it's really shifted the conferences. We used to have Power 5, now it's Power 4. And Rick, one of my favorite quotes from you is, MTSU is not a mid-major. MTSU is a Power 4. And when you look at the top women's basketball programs in the country, you guys are there. And how much pride do you take in that, considering you built what MTSU women's basketball is today?
Well, really and truly, I was at the right place at the right time. Middle Tennessee State has had some great women's coaches, Lewis Bivens, Larry Joe Inman, and then you had Stephanie Smith. They kind of set the foundation, and they did this through the 80s and the 90s. And then I was able to come on board. Stephanie took the job at Alabama, and I was able to get an interview with Dr. McPhee and Chris. And I was Chris's first hire as an athletic director.
I didn't know that.
And you got to understand, Chris had been in waiting at South Carolina for like 18 years. Then he gets a head job, athletic director's job at Middle. And then the first thing Dr. McPhee tells him is, hey, I've got a guy I want you to interview down the road at Shelbyville, about 20 minutes. And now what's he thinking? I've got to hire a high school coach for my first major hire.
Not just any high school coach.
I think he's told me that his wife asked him, Cindy said she was back in South Carolina packing, and he called and told her, said, hey, I just interviewed a guy for our position, our women's basketball position in Middle, and he coaches high school down the road about 20 minutes. And Cindy said, do I need to keep packing? So, I was at the right place at the right time and able to get the job. But, again, you got to come back. You got to have that administrative support.
Yeah.
If you don't, you're out.
And a lot of it is we talk about the Power Four,
Mhm.
and when it comes to basketball,
He makes a good point on this here.
it's really, and I tell recruits this, it's the football four, because everything is dictated by football. It's
Right.
not dictated on who's good at women's basketball or even who's good at men's basketball or who's good at baseball.
Mhm.
It's all about football, which is fine. I'm a big football fan. I love football. And, and that's when you look at it, and I tell players this all the time is, if you want to go to Tennessee, go to Tennessee. If you want to go to LSU, go to LSU. If you want to go to South Carolina, go to South Carolina. But if you're going to go to 9 through 16 or however many teams in the SEC, if you're going to look at those places, we're better than those teams.
Yeah.
And not only us, I mean, there's 5 or 6 programs, programs that are not in that football four or whatever, however you want, Power Four. There's 2 of them locally with us and Belmont both that are as good as majority of those teams in those leagues. And so, we tell recruits that, like, go there. That's fine. You can go there. We're going to play you and we're going to beat you.
We're not playing.
Yeah.
You're not coming to play football for us. You're coming to play women's basketball.
Yeah.
Right.
And nothing against our football team, because Derek Mason and me are close friends, and he's doing a great job there. And Rick Stockstall is a good friend of mine. But, we feel like, and we tell people this, we're better than the top 5 teams in the SEC. They're probably better than us. We may win. We play them 10 times. We may win 2 games if we're lucky. But you come down from 6 to 14, we're going to compete. And from the very get go, it's not something I've just done. From the very get go, I was offended when someone called in and said, "Hey, we were mid-major and we were this and that," when we had just beat Georgia, which was number 5 in the country, and we had a 3-year contract with LSU when Sylvia Fowles was there, and what was the head coach there?
Coach Chancellor.
Coach Van Chancellor, which is a friend of mine. We had a 3-year contract, and we beat them 2 out of 3. And then I could just come right down the line. We beat Alabama, we beat Ole Miss, and we beat Kentucky, and we beat Vanderbilt. And so when someone said, "Hey, you're mid-major," it kind of offends me, because our players work just as hard as their players, and we get the same. We fly. Most of our flights are commercial, but we also have private. I mean, we Dr. McPhee and Chris make it available if we need to fly into Liberty or we need to fly to somewhere in Texas. We're going to take care of that. So when we recruit, I tell our parents and I tell our players, you're not stepping down when you come to Middle Tennessee. You're just stepping across.
And we tell recruits this, if we're playing Tennessee and you're looking at them wishing you had that uniform on, don't come to us. We want you to look at them and say, I'm going to beat you tonight. And that stuff that we talk about with our team. We played Tennessee in Murfreesboro this year. We beat them in Huntsville in a neutral site game 2 years ago. They beat us last year by 12 or 13 in Knoxville. They come to Murfreesboro this year. And we've already talking to our team about it, especially to our young players, because we do have girls from the state of Tennessee that grew up probably wanting to be Lady Vols at one point in their life. But if that's still what you want to be, then we're not going to let you play in that game, because we're going out to win that game. And that's the type of players and the mentality that the student athletes that we recruit that have that mentality. We had one of our freshmen in the office 2 days ago. That's she was Gatorade Player of the Year in her state. She's a very highly decorated player that we were able to recruit, and she's a perfectionist. She made a 98 in her first class of college, and she's really upset. And she wants to report the instructor because the instructor doesn't know how to grade papers right. And Dad and I had to talk to her like, it's okay. Like, you made a 98, it's okay. But that's the mentality that we want. Is she wasn't satisfied with a 98 for her first grade in college. She wanted that grade to be 100. And that's kind of what we recruit when we recruit these student athletes, is that have that mentality that's not satisfied. I made a B or I made a 98. You made an A plus. You're fine. But I still want that 100, and that's what we want them to strive for every day in life, and then also and athletically. And we tell them that when we recruit them that we're going to be passionate in 3 areas. One is to grow you socially because the world is ever changing. And if we're not becoming an extension of your family and helping you grow socially, then we're not doing our job if we're just worried about basketball. 2 is academically, to make sure you get the degree that you want. Very passionate about that, and we'll work around whatever we have to work around from a practice schedule to make sure that you get that. And 3 is athletically. And if you don't have a pro mindset in all 3 of those areas, then we're not the place for you. And we just tell them that. And we've had some that's walked away, and we've had others that dive, a lot of them that dive into that, and that's really where our success comes from.
You're listening to the Nashville Game Changers podcast. We'll be right back after this.
One thing that really amazes me about young coaches, and even some of the coaches that have been coaching 5, 10, maybe even 15 years, you got a pattern out there how to build a successful program in Pat Summitt. And why they don't use that pattern, I've never understood that. Pat never ducked anybody. She played Stanford. She played Texas. She played Notre Dame. She went out and her and Gino played. She didn't go try to put wins on her schedule. She took the Lady Vols and she played everybody that she could play that had a good program across the country. And then you wonder why, when she had 10 losses, I think one of the last national championships she won, she had 10 losses. But she won a national championship because her players were mentally tough. They were physically ready to do that. And when they got in big games, they didn't panic because they were able to carry the torch on across the line. So these young coaches that are coming through, they need to go back and study what Coach Summitt did, and go back and even study. And you got people in this state that they don't like Gino, but study what Gino's done. You don't see any patsies on their schedule. So when I took over at Middle, we had that same pattern at Shelbyville. We were one of the first teams that traveled across the country, and we played everybody that we could play that was better than us, or as good as us and better than us, maybe. And I got that from Pat. And then when I came to Middle, I said, hey, we're not going to change. One of the first games that we played, I think you heard Joe Dubin the other night talk about it. We scheduled Maryland. They had just won the national championship and had everybody back. And Brenda Freeze had recruited Ashley Newman, which had played high school ball from me. So I called Brenda and said, hey, I'd like to open up with you. This is my second year, because the first year the schedule was already made. And she said, you're kidding. I said, no. And so she said, yeah, I'll come and open up. So our first game, my second year, was against Maryland. And with 4 minutes to go, we were up 5. Now, we didn't win. Christy Tolliver took over, which but it showed our fan base what we stood for at Middle Tennessee, that we were going to bring in some of the best programs in the country to play the Lady Raiders, and we were going to lose some of those games. But yet, we also, if you don't schedule some of those guys, you're not going to have a chance to beat those guys either.
And Pat was always willing to play you.
Pat, she was one of the first ones, and I can remember when I called Dr. McPhee and Chris both and said, hey, Tennessee's going to come, and we've got a contract. Now, the contract was 2-1. We had to play 2 games in Knoxville for her to come here and win. But she agreed to play us. Now, when we call people, Matt's over schedule, and that's one of the biggest negatives he has. When he comes in my office, he can't believe that some of these people won't play us when we're agreeing to go to play them at their place. They're saying, no, we're not going to play you. And you can talk to him about that. But I don't know why, because our net ranking is high. It's always in the top 100, and in most cases in the 30s. And they're not going to lose any net points if we win. And they're going to gain net points if they beat us. So it's really a win-win situation for anybody that plays us. But we can't get, and I won't get into a lot of our program, we can't get them to play us. They'd rather play somebody that's net ranking is in the 200s as play somebody that's net ranking is in the 30s.
Yeah.
And so we have to battle that a lot. Matt, you want to talk about that?
I mean, it is what it is, and it's not as much of the games that we need to play from our standpoint is, let's say we get upset in the conference tournament like we did last year. We got upset in the conference finals. We need to play those other bubble teams out of those football Power 4 conferences because that gives us a chance to have that on our resume that we beat them head to head.
At-large bid.
And to get an at-large bid, where some of those guys that are 1 through 5 in the SEC, 1 through 6, 7, they don't care. They'll play whoever, whenever.
Right.
But when you start talking that middle to bottom of that league, those guys don't want to play the likes of us because they know they could lose that game. And then Selection Sunday comes, and you got Middle Tennessee on the bubble, and you got one of those teams on the bubble, and we have a head-to-head win. They don't want to take that chance on losing that game, which I get where they're at. But at the same time, we're here to grow the game.
Yeah.
And, should Belmont and Middle Tennessee play every year? We're both really good programs. Yes, we should play every year because we're both really good programs in the mid-state, and it's good for the mid-state, and we both get good crowds when we play each other. So Bart and Dad and I we're all good friends, and we're going to play that game. It doesn't matter what happens. And Tennessee, when Kelly was there, I don't know how things will go with Kim. We get along with Kim really well. She's doing a great job. But Kelly finally agreed to that as let's grow the game in the state. We were ranked for 2 straight years, and all of that kind of stuff. And I don't think Tennessee was ranked one of those years.
Signed a 4-year contract.
And then she agreed to sign a 4-year contract because it was what was best for our state is for us to play and for the game of basketball. And, that's that you have coaches that see that. And that's, go back on Coach Summitt, that was one of her things was how can I grow the game? And she grew the game nationally by taking the Lady Vols west, by taking them up to the East Coast, by taking them to South, taking them Midwest. She took them everywhere to play, and when they showed up, they sold it out. Dawn Staley's doing a lot of that right now.
Yeah,
great example.
Yeah, we were in Fort Myers, Florida, this past Thanksgiving, playing in the same event as South Carolina, and it was very similar to the way Tennessee used to be with Coach Summitt, where when South Carolina rolled into play, it was a packed gym and
rock stars.
And one of the things I respect about Dawn, she stayed and watched our game, and a lot of our fans wanted pictures with her. She took every picture. She never did not take a picture with somebody that asked her for a picture, an autograph. She talked to people, and that's what Coach Summitt would do. She wouldn't back away from that because we are getting that now, where for years we were not getting that. I remember 8 or 9 years ago when the Final Four was in Nashville, and there was talks. It was the first time in a long time, or if ever, that they were scalping tickets on the sidewalks out here.
I think it was first sellout.
Yeah.
I believe it was the
sellout
first sellout
of
for
a
the
women's Final Four.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was right here in Nashville, and we hope to get it back soon with the new stadium
that would be
being
great,
coming.
yeah.
But women's basketball is growing, and some people may not like it, but it is growing, and it's every day there's new things. I will be in Indianapolis next weekend for the WNBA All-Star Game.
Okay, nice.
And so we have one of our signees is playing. She's been invited to play in a camp there, so I'm going to watch her. And my wife is going with me, and luckily we have some friends that are in the WNBA is going to give us tickets. But I just randomly looked and saw what the tickets were running for the WNBA All-Star Game next Saturday night. The upper deck we're selling for $900.
Oh my gosh!
Which
wow.
is, that's
great.
That's
great.
great. And
It's
so
proof.
It's demand for it, and that's something that's become. I was very irritated with the WNBA when they didn't take Nashville on as a new team.
Yeah.
Because this market would support it, and it would have been one of the biggest supported markets that they have. This is a basketball hungry state.
Yeah.
From middle school to elementary school, all the way up to high school to college. It's a big thing in this state. Women's basketball is. And I think the WNBA missed on a big opportunity with a ownership that's a professional ownership, and that would have really thrived in this state.
7 or 8 years ago, they were giving tickets away to go to the WNBA All-Star Game. Yeah. They were giving them away. They were having to get junior high groups to come in, and they were giving them tickets in the lower decks. And now you got a ticket in the upper deck, and it's $900. I mean, that just shows you how the game is growing. And it's hopefully we've had a little bit to do with that. I would hope that someday somebody would say, we had a little bit to do with that here in the state of Tennessee with women's basketball.
I think the WNBA missed on Nashville too, and that's a perfect segue for our final segment, in my opinion. My opinion is absolutely Nashville deserves and would be so great for a WNBA team. We don't have a professional women's sports team in the state of Tennessee, which still blows my mind. So that's my opinion. Please feel free to take a different opinion or talk about anything that's been on your guys' mind.
I think you're correct. I think that they've really missed. I mean, I think that the selection committee, and I've told my senior women's administrator, Diane Tournament, that she's been on some of those committees, and she's hooked in with the NCAA. I've made it very blatant, I guess, with her that they're missing on a Final Four here in Nashville again. And they say, well, this and that, maybe hotels, or they hadn't got the venue or whatever. But the first sellout was right here, I think, in Nashville, Tennessee. And now you're going to all these sites and
where they also have NBA teams too. And I understand there's a market there, the numbers, whatever. But gosh, we would just we would take care of that team. I feel like we would celebrate that team so much.
Yeah, I mean, it was when it first come out. I can't even count how many phone calls we have from people saying, "Hey, we're getting season tickets. We're going to do this. We're going to do that." Dad and I talked about it.
We had a group together.
We had a group
that was going to buy like 30 or 40 tickets so we could get them all together.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And it was really it bothered us a little bit because we just know this market, and I think the WNBA, and I put it on my social media and I tagged the WNBA in it that they missed. This was a major miss, and I get you want to put it in NBA markets, but you've already tried Cleveland. It didn't work out. You've already tried Detroit. It didn't work out. So you got a market here in Tennessee with the Haslams backing it.
Yes.
Which is obviously with their ownership and their experience in the professional sports that, I think it would have been huge for the WNBA and not because this market could support it. I say that about baseball.
Yeah.
My son and I, Clark and I just went down, and my wife and daughter just went down to the Braves, and just hoping someday that there is a Major League Baseball team in Nashville, because I feel like Nashville can support that. Wherever you put a stadium, you can put a stadium out where the Tanger outlets are, wherever that shall be, and create something that you have like the Atlanta Braves have down in Atlanta, there right north of Atlanta. But I just think this market needs something. And we were hoping it was the WNBA. I'm hoping it's Major League Baseball, but I feel like we can support it.
We even hope that maybe an NBA team.
An NBA,
yeah. I mean, come on.
We've heard rumors that they might move the Grizzlies from Memphis to here.
Nashville.
Of course, I'm sure that's just rumors, but if they did, you can bet we'll be buying season tickets.
Yeah, I just think Nashville is, from a market standpoint, we're not old Nashville anymore.
No.
This is a place people want to be, and the place we want to be, and we're very fortunate to be at Middle Tennessee, so close to the Nashville market. And but I think when professional athletes come to Nashville, and you see this, a lot of men's basketball, NBA players train in the summer in Nashville. NFL players train in Nashville.
Oh my gosh, so many current athletes, professional athletes.
Exactly.
You
got so many of your top agencies in the world are based now out of Nashville, and so I just think that it was a major, major miss by the WNBA. I think it's a major miss right now by Major League Baseball that what Nashville can do and our communities, the surrounding areas can support it at a high level, just like we do the Titans. Even with the Titans struggling, it's still a hard ticket to get.
Great. That's a great point.
It's still a hard ticket to get. They're still selling it out. There's still people in the stands. And last year was not a great year for the Titans, but my son and I went couple times to games, and it was still a hot ticket. I mean, it was still, even though you have all the construction, walking across the bridge and doing all that, but it's, it's just when you start talking about concerts and different things that are coming to Nashville in this area, I just feel like that we can support another professional sports team.
That's the one thing we know for sure, right? Nashville is not slowing down anytime soon. And
well, we recruit to that also.
Yeah, exactly. The city.
It's the fourth fastest growing area in the nation. Nashville, Murfreesboro, the Franklin, Lebanon, Mount Juliet area. You see all kinds of businesses, all kinds of. You would be amazed. I don't think you would be, but because you know this scene, but the general public would be amazed at how many professional athletes that they see every day on TV live in this area that you don't even really know anything about. I mean, Matt and myself ran into two of the top golfers in the world, and they live in the Franklin area, and we didn't know it. And
You're like, wait a minute.
It's just
we're just playing golf last Thursday.
Yeah.
Over at the Troubadour, and two of the top golfers in the world were just hanging out.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
And, that live in the area, and it's
and
just
they live there.
We might need to get them on Nashville Game Changers. Is what I'm thinking. They could be our next
the
guest.
People that's in this area. It's really amazing, and it's it's just continue. Like you said, it's not slowing down.
Yeah.
It's just going to keep growing, and it's amazing now. I mean, it's not amazing, but when we talk to recruits now, it's hey, I want to come see because I want to come to Nashville.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it's just a big part of it.
Sometimes we have people that kind of abuse the system with us because they can get a free trip in with their daughter.
I think they want that dinner. I think they want that dinner at Hall Steakhouse or at Jeff Ruby's. I think they want that dinner downtown that recruit visit do.
Matter of fact, one of the recruiting things Matt sent me with one of the dads to the Johnny Cash Museum. Now, don't get me wrong, I like Johnny Cash, but I didn't like sitting in the museum and looking at all the stuff for an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And so the next time that someone came in, I told Matt and Kim, I said, I'll do whatever you want me to do, but I'm not going to sit in the Johnny Cash Museum.
I will not be attending the Johnny Cash tour. That's funny. Guys, thank you so much for joining the show this week. It's been so much fun talking about not just your new team, but the state of college sports, MTSU's success over the last 2 decades. Really appreciate you coming on. Rick, congratulations again for the Conference USA Hall of Fame. And we're looking forward to the season. We'll be here before you know it.
Season opener.
What did I say?
November 3rd.
November 3rd.
So we go to the Emerald Classic for our Thanksgiving.
Gotcha. Okay, so those are the only dates I saw confirmed.
Yeah, so home games. Tennessee State will be a home game this year. University of Tennessee will be a home game this year.
Great.
Memphis will be at home with us this year. Belmont will be at home with us this year, and then Auburn. So we have 5 home games in the non-conference, and then we'll have another 9 conference home games.
It's going down in the borough. Let's just say that.
It is.
Yeah. Guys,
it'd be a hot ticket this year. I look for us to really, our season tickets are up anyway, but I really look for a lot of people to buy extra season tickets because of our schedule that we've got because of the women's basketball scene.
Yep.
They get a chance to see really good competition, other good teams, and then also the Lady Raiders.
Yeah. Looking forward to it, November 3rd. Guys, thank you so much, and good luck on the recruiting trail.
Thank you.
We're headed to Louisville right now.
Okay, be safe.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jill.
Thanks so much for listening to the Nashville Game Changers podcast. We appreciate you tuning in every week. Stay tuned for our new episode next week, and in the meantime, be sure to like and subscribe.